Welcome to Your Brain Express podcast. I'm your host, CJ Alleyne.
And I'm Carl Alleyne.
And together, we will take you on a journey to where entrepreneurship meets culture and cool.
So get ready to elevate and expand your entrepreneurial spirit as we explore the dynamic and ever-changing landscape of the business world.
So, sit back, relax, and join us as we bring to you the ultimate vibe and help you experience your brand like never before. Let's get it. Woo!
All right. We are hanging out with the wonderful Sarah J. Pitts from across the pond. I love it. How cool.
Hey,
How are you, Sarah?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm doing well. It's so great to have you on board. We've known each other for how many years? Oh my gosh.
Lots.
Lots
Yeah,
of
I'm so
years.
excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you here. And CJ actually is not with us today. He's doing his thing. He has some plans that he has, and I'm going solo today.
Woo!
Yeah, but it's great to have you aboard, Sarah. And I love your work and what you do, and you're so insightful as an entrepreneur, and I admire you so much. So it's great to
Oh,
have
wow.
you aboard.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, love it. So, Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, our audience?
Yes. So, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm from the UK, as you can tell, and I work with solo entrepreneurs who are feeling a little bit stuck. Maybe they're a little bit overwhelmed with everything that they've got going on. They can't really figure out why things aren't working, and they just feel like they're running from one crisis to another in their business. They're busy, but they're not really getting anywhere. So I help people kind of get unstuck and streamline what they're thinking, how they're moving forwards, and develop a plan that's really easy to stick to so that they can just get stuff done. So yeah, that's what I do.
And that's so helpful. And I love it, solopreneurs. There's a lot of us in the house.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I have partners I work with, but and so I'm doing a lot of the background work. So I have one foot in, one foot out, kind of,
Right.
sort of.
Yeah.
But I find it so helpful, and because I could definitely identify with getting those times of feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, it's being hard to break through, to get those breakthroughs in your business, and to be able to go to the next phase in your business. It's because we want to make impact. That's what we're here to do,
Yeah.
So we need people like you, Sarah, in our lives.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I've been doing this for over 20 years now. I've been self-employed. So, I started out in the fitness industry. I started out as a personal trainer and then moved into injury therapy and then tried to teach personal trainers about how to do that. And I learned a lot of things along the way by doing things wrong. So, they say if there's any mistake to be made in business, I reckon I've made it. They go, don't do this, don't do that, don't do the other. I was doing all of that. And I think the thing that I can see now, looking back on it, because you don't see it at the time because you're too close to it. But the thing that I can see now is that I never really got the opportunity to stand back and look at my business and go, hang on a minute, what's working? What isn't working? Where do I need to put my efforts? Where can I best spend my time? But you kind of follow the well done, this is great, oh, it's such a good idea, you should really stick with this. And I did that for about 8 years, every single day, banging my head against a brick wall, thinking nobody was listening to me, because everyone around me was going, oh, this is such a great idea, you need to stick with this. Nobody was paying me, but the support I was hearing was driving that, well, I must do this and I must do this. And it was so hard. And I realized now it doesn't need to be that way. I was like, if it feels that difficult, it's probably not right for you. I was like, oh, wow. Why is it taking me this long to figure it out? But yeah, so I've been in the struggle. I'm not out of the struggle. I don't know anybody that's in business for themselves. Every
Hello.
single day, doesn't matter how much money you're earning, every day there's some kind of issue that needs sorting out. So, we're all in it together, we're all learning together, and this is what I'm loving about what I'm doing now. It's, it's being really well received, so I'm really grateful for that.
I love it. And Sarah, I got to tell you, I'm finishing your book today, which I'm excited about. More than halfway through. And what I love the most about your book is how real you are with your story. And reading that part drew me in to the book so quickly. So, and hearing your story here, it was good to hear it again, because that's one of the things that just helps people so much to be able to make connections with you, but make connections for themselves as their journey, as they're starting their journey to learn from you. So I really appreciate that. And it's just, I don't know, I hear stories too when I'm reading books and stuff like that, or if I'm listening to other coaches or entrepreneurs, but yours was just so, it was raw, it was real.
Thank you.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Thank you. It's funny, you hear all these business people, and a lot of them are very successful, really clever people, and they're going, they're giving you all this advice. But when you're so in your own business, and so you're so focused on your own business, it's really difficult to hear that message. And it's amazing how once I step back from it, and once I have a little bit more breathing space, a little bit more brain space, I can actually hear those messages. And now I can see where I was going wrong. But I couldn't hear them before, even though you're consuming all of this business information and all of this stuff. It's just
Right.
not going in because there's just not enough brain space left over, you know?
Mm.
So it's interesting for me that emotion becomes the center of everything that we're doing. When I was doing injury treatment, I could see how impactful somebody's emotions were on their physical well-being, you know? And so for me, it's like, well, if the emotions play such a big role in my physical health, then why can't I harness the power of that and put it into my business?
Woo!
You
Just to
know?
let you know, Sarah, when I give snaps, that means that's like a clap. Have you ever seen them
Okay,
in
thank
comedy
you.
club, like people snap, or poetry
Uh-huh.
club? That's snaps right there. That's a value bomb right there. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Yeah,
I was
it's
gonna
not.
ask you about that. Oh, we're gonna say?
I was just going to say that productivity to me is not about ticking things off a list or checking things off a list, like you would say. It's really about an emotional strategy. It's not about organization and lists and stuff like that. They help, but until you kind of find that emotional stability, and you're able to control that emotional stability and keep finding it quickly when things knock you off path,
Mm,
it's really difficult to get anything done.
wow. That I think that's the thing that draws me the most to what you're doing, Sarah, the emotion part of it.
Mhm.
Because in our society, I'm not sure how it is in England, but in America, there's so much focus on there. Emotion has a negative connotation. Even for men, it's like, well, don't be emotional. Oh, that's emotional.
Mhm. It's seen
No,
as soft somehow.
it's like you're soft somehow. But I know for
Yeah,
me, like I help people with their presence, right? They need emotion. They need to focus on their emotion. They need to tap into it. Because without tapping into it, you don't give anything. Emotion's
yeah,
a really, really good thing if you could control it and you could tap into it. And that's what I try to
yeah.
tell people. So this was a game changer reading your book because like even like Brian Tracy and people like that, I love their books and they're very helpful for me. But something that can train you to say, hey, take your emotion and draw it in the right direction. And you can use it as an asset for you. There's something
Yeah.
about that. It's like a new teaching. You
Yeah,
know?
it's really interesting because, and I keep going back to the injury stuff that I was doing before, but I used to use a method that used energy, so I called it energy medicine. It was basically healing somebody else using my own emotion, right? So when somebody's in pain, their body it used to feel like it was fizzing to me. It's really unsettled. And all it takes is somebody who's calmer than you to start settling that down. And that would really impact the amount of pain that somebody was in. So if you can wind somebody's emotional level down, you can
Hmm.
wind their physical pain down. And we are emotional beings first. You know, words and all that kind of stuff come afterwards because babies respond to emotions because they don't have words. They sense things, they feel things. And if animals do that, all animals do that. We are animals at the end of the day, you know? So if my dog can sense how I feel just by reading my emotion, that's just how powerful it is.
Hmm.
You know, I can trigger my dog to get really excited just by being really giddy, you know, and I don't have to show it and I don't have to use big gestures and all the rest of it. She can just feel it. And
Yeah.
we're all the same. So when we can use that and tap into that and connect with that, we have this really deep sense of calm in ourselves, but also in what we're doing. We have so much confidence in what we're doing when we can settle and feel that on such a deep level. And it's really not difficult to achieve once you know how to do that.
Right. Wow, I could identify with that so much. That's big on what I try to teach and coach people. Emotion is so with because with emotion you can like even as an artist, if I sing or if I speak or if whatever I do, I have if I give emotion, there are certain parts of my conversation I'll have with you that I can draw you in with, and I can make a message stick.
Yeah.
You know, so when I'm like, man, I got a summit coming up this fall. I'm like, we gotta have Sarah come on if that's possible, because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so important. So it just blows me away that you're adding this to what you have this element in with what you're doing with your framework. And
Thank you.
so with this book, Stop Doing It All. I
Yes.
just love that title. It just makes you say, okay, all right, where we going, Sarah? Tell me, teach me.
Yeah. It's like, oh, she knows I'm trying to do it all. Yes, I do.
Right,
I see you.
right. It just it just seems like such a well thought out, like in the making. Like it took, like it seemed like. Let me know what you if I'm wrong too, but it seems like this was like years in the making, as far
Well,
as
it
maybe
wasn't.
based off of your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've written books before.
Right.
So I think this is my fifth book that I
Okay.
wrote. You know, throughout my career, I've written books and I followed Jim Edwards' teaching like we have, and you know,
Right.
I've followed his system, and I'm just like, this honestly was the book that took the longest to write. It
Wow.
wasn't quite years, but it was months rather than, you know, weeks. So
Yeah.
yeah, I started it because basically Jim did a challenge for, you know, write your book and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I was like, and he went, "You're gonna write one, aren't you?" Okay. What am I gonna write it on? I don't know. I was just transitioning out of my injury business. It basically my injury business was struggling to get anywhere, and I was just about making traction with that. And then COVID came along, wiped out all the personal trainers' income overnight, which wiped
Mm,
out my business overnight.
right.
And then because learning about injuries was a nice to have rather than a necessity, they weren't willing to pay out to learn about it. So I had to really pivot. And I realized then that I didn't enjoy being in the industry. You know, it didn't make me feel safe.
Mm,
So it's very cutthroat, it's very backstabby, it's very opinionated, and I'm not like that.
mm,
It just didn't suit me as a person, but it's what I'd known all along. And so I was just coming out of realizing that I didn't really want to be in the industry when Jim went, "You're going to write a book, aren't you?" I'm like, okay, what do I write a book on? And because I didn't know, I mean, there's loads of books that are really popular books that are all about productivity. I'm like, the one thing I know how to do is get stuff done. You
mm.
know, I can get a lot of stuff done. Why do I do that? And then I was like, right, well, I'll just write a book on productivity. Maybe it'll, you know, go somewhere, maybe it won't. And I was really struggling with it because everything that I was seemed to be writing just seemed really generic. And I was like, what's my angle? Why what do I feel about this? And I was really struggling with trying to formulate it into any kind of message. But in writing the book, the potent productivity method came out, and I was like, ah, this is it. And I wanted then to refine it and make it as good as I possibly could, which I would do with any project that I take on. But that's why it took me so long to write this one. And it's really nice to hear you say that it feels like it when you're reading it, it feels thought out and all that, because it did. It took a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
But it's what I do. It's what I do well. So
What I do. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Thinking, planning, strategizing. Yeah, that's what I do.
yeah, really good. And you're a great storyteller, by the way. Sheesh.
Thank
Love it. Yeah, it's and so you talk about the potent productivity method.
you.
Sounds really cool. And it's catchy too. I can remember it. I could keep it on the tip of my tongue.
Yes.
So what separates that or distinguishes that from the typical hustle culture? There's so many things we have to fight against, hustle culture and all this stuff. Like what separates that from like the hustle culture?
Yeah, I think too many people jump to what you need to do before they tackle how you feel about it,
Oof.
right?
Say that
So
again. Say it again. Please.
too many solutions try and jump to what you should do rather than dealing with how you feel about it.
Oof.
Because one of the biggest things that I struggled with the injury business was putting myself out there. I felt really uncomfortable doing that. And it didn't really matter how many people told me to get over myself. It didn't matter how many times I just tried to push through it and just do it anyway, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's all a load of nonsense if you don't feel confident in yourself. And
Right.
so the potent productivity method is all about figuring out all the different ways in your business that you can like close the door on doubt, right? So each piece layers on top of each other to create this really solid foundation that so your doubt is it's not gone because we all have it, but we don't have to listen to it quite as strongly. And that helps you to do the things that feel a little bit scary. So, like me, for example, being interviewed about this book, for some people I know, like you, some people I don't know. And I'm willing to do that now because I have these pieces in place that have eliminated so much of my doubt and so much of my second guessing and so much of my, oh, I don't think I'm good enough. And, all this kind of stuff, because I know what makes me different and I know how to talk about it and I know the content, you know, it's, and like you said, it's a memorable name, it's my unique angle, and it's something different that makes me stand out without actually having to shout about it. Because I'm from Britain and I'm from Yorkshire in the UK, and we are not people who go, oh, look at me, I'm fabulous. We're like, yeah, okay, that'll do. I'm just going to go over here and be quiet
Mm,
in the corner. It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
That's so powerful, Sarah, because from what I see, my perspective, and what I've read so far, what you're doing is saying you're not screaming, you're not shouting in that way, but you're shouting in a quiet way. You're saying, "Hey, what do you think about this? Here's some principles. What do you think about this, and how does this apply to you?" It's like it's hard to describe it, but it's pretty bold what you're doing in that, but what you're doing right there, it offers so much transformation for someone because it causes them to think about their thinking and feel about their feeling.
yeah. And
And so,
then the
mhm.
methods that they have heard about and seen about before, those then become really powerful because, time blocking techniques and, prioritizing in order of urgency and, all of that stuff comes afterwards. And when
Mm,
you layer that on top of a really solid foundation, then you're almost unstoppable because you just get stuff done. You don't spend the time worrying about what other people think or just with that whole fog of like, what do I do now? Or, oh my God, there's so much to do. It's just like, right, well, I know what I'm doing, I'll just get on with it.
yeah, I love that. That's I mean, I can't wait to see. I mean, I've been following you with what you've done with your other brands too,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna follow you along and just I'm so curious because it's such a courageous and bold thing you're doing. Like even the alone putting the emotion in there, which I'm really attached to, because you got to put when you do something, you got to put umph and effort into it. And sometimes it's hard to identify how to do that. And with your book, it's like you helping people with self-discovery is you're showing people the door on how to do that, which is game changer in this productivity world, and especially
Thank
for
you.
us as solopreneurs, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I'm from Yorkshire in the UK, and we are straight talking, don't mess about, no touchy-feely stuff, you know. But the problem is, we need to talk about that stuff, but in a practical kind of way. You
Right.
know, yes, you can sit and, you know, contemplate the world for a month if that's what makes you feel good. But really, at the end of the day, you just need to get on with it, you know.
Right.
So, yes, discover that stuff, but do it in a way that is practical and moves you forwards quite quickly rather than you know, spending extended periods of time figuring things out. It's kind of expediting the process so that you can just get on with things, you know.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that. I sense that too. It's like you created an environment. You make room for that opportunity, but you create an environment where people could take the steps forward intrinsically. You know, like you mentioned, the get on with it. I don't sense that from your book at all, but there's an environment created for you to get on with it. You
Yeah.
know, which was, man, was that intentional, or did you just discover it as you were creating? I'm personally curious.
Yeah, I think I've been aware of me being like that since my injury days. You
Hmm,
know, because people are very, very vulnerable when they have been in pain for a long time,
right,
you know, and they a lot of times they don't want to do the rehab, they don't want to do all of the stuff that's going to make them better. They just want to get back to training, you know. So it was more a case of, well, we need to tackle this and then get you back to training. And it's always been kind of how I am. So I don't suppose it's a surprise really that you've mentioned that again. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe that's just me. I don't know.
you know, that's it's so important though, because a lot of people lack that quality, and it's a very important leadership quality
Thank
that a
you.
lot of people don't tap into. But I find personally, as you tap into it, you just help way more. You help many more people, you know. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
It's funny, there's a quote by Maya Angelou that really stands in my head, and it's you will forget what people said, you will forget what people did, but you will never forget how they made you feel, you know.
Right.
And even like thinking back to when you were in school, you can probably think of a favorite teacher, and you had that favorite teacher because of how they made you feel about yourself, you know. It's not what they said or did, although they might have been very encouraging to you, they might have been the only one that was very encouraging to you, but it's how they
Right.
made you feel by what they said and did rather than anything else. And that's the connection that joins us everybody to each other, you know. And so when we can communicate in that way and we can understand that about ourselves, we can communicate that to our audiences, which makes us more powerful in communication, but also in the people that we're trying to help. We can reach more people because we know how they feel, we know how we feel, and we can really then connect properly with those people.
There it is. There it is. Ah. So in the C word, your biggest obstacle, you address control. Why is that significant for business owners? And why is
Well,
it a challenge?
a lot of the business owners I have worked with, I've worked with hundreds of business owners now on a one-to-one basis, you know, they all struggle because it's their own little baby. They've been they've grown it right from nothing into maybe it's huge, maybe it's getting big, maybe it's only just started, who knows, but it's there. It's very personal to them, you know. And I think oftentimes as a solo business owner, we see what we put out into the world as a reflection of ourselves. So when we want somebody else to do something for us, It's like, well, you're not me. So how can you possibly reflect me because I'm not doing it? You know? So we kind of feel like we have to have that element of control, even though we don't feel like we're controlling people necessarily. You know,
Right.
some people are obviously, and they just struggle with
Well,
delegating, and that's fine.
that's a
But
whole
you
other episode right there. No, I was kidding.
yeah, totally, yeah. So, but the thing is, you know, they say it takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a community to raise a business. You know, you can't do it all yourself. You need help from other people, whether it's just a sounding board or whether it's somebody doing some graphics for you. They might not be a paid employee. You might not want that kind of business, but they are your team. They are your support crew. They are there to help you. And if you struggle to let things go and give them to other people to do, then you will just spend your time being busy rather than being profitable.
Right. That's true. Well said.
Thank
Well
you.
said. Well said. What practical advice can you offer for those juggling brand building, productivity, and personal life successfully?
Oh, we're all doing that. You
Well,
know, we all have stuff going on. I'm in the middle of renovating a house right now, and writing a book and promoting the business and, doing all these things. And I'm sure you've got lots of things going on too. We are human beings. We have
right.
lots of different elements and sides to us. We have lots of different elements of our lives. And I think the key really is to put really clear boundaries into your life. So for me, I'm quite good at compartmentalizing things. So I know that I work from a certain time of day to a certain time of day because, well, I have a dog and she needs to go out for a walk. So I start my day when I take her out, and then I finish my working day when I take her out in the afternoon. I can spend some time with my family. I can do those things on the weekend, and then there's times when I can do meetings in the evenings like this because it's evening time for me because of the time difference. That's helpful, and it's just making sure that those boundaries are in place so that you're not constantly thinking about work. I think that's the really hard thing to do when you're a solo business owner. You see the people on holiday, on their phones all the time. They just can't forget about work. And my granddad used to call it pulling the shutters down. Like a shop front that's got a metal shutter, a roller shutter on the front. He used to imagine pulling that down in his brain. It's like work has gone now. I'm at home. I don't need to think about that anymore. you know and I think one of the biggest things that solo business owners, particularly service-based solo business owners, struggle with is the idea of emergency. you know
Mm.
there is absolutely nothing, and there was nothing when I was dealing with people's pain either. There is nothing that is so much of an emergency that you need me to drop everything and deal with you right now.
Mm.
Right? If you're in that much pain, I am the wrong person for you to be looking for. You need to go to the emergency room. Right? That's not me. That's not my treatment style. It's not what I know how to do. If your website has gone down, I'm not the right person for you to be speaking to. You need to speak to your hosting provider or whoever it is that's doing that. You know, and it's knowing that as a solo business owner that I can confidently just go, do you know what? I'm closing the door. I'm not going to look at my emails. I'll see those tomorrow.
Yeah. I
And
love
it's just the most powerful thing. And that thing just sticks in my head. Pull the shutters down,
that's a great
close the door,
analogy.
walk away.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. Pull the shutters down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna use that. I love that. I'm gonna use that in my life. Pull the shutters
You're
down.
welcome.
My kids
Yes.
coming. I'm gonna pull the shutters down. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not with my kids, but I know what you mean. That's great. Yeah, I think boundaries are so important. It's interesting. I was been learning about that as far as boundaries, and boundaries can serve you in so many ways. Boundaries in a friendly way. Boundaries
Yeah.
aren't always a bad thing. I mean, some people can use them in the wrong context and things like that. But for business owners, man, boundaries can serve us so well,
Mm-hmm.
so well. Like even what I was listening to was about memory and learning, finding better ways to learn. And the speaker who was speaking was talking about how what was he saying? Oh, how important it is to have boundaries when you're learning something or doing something, because sometimes that can protect you from being a perfectionist. You got a certain amount of time to get it done, and that's it. And that
Yes.
was a boundary. So I think boundaries serve really well. So that's in my mind this week because I was that was yesterday. That was my experience
Wow.
yesterday. So
Yeah,
it's timely that we're having this conversation.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny. I wanted a dog all my life, and I finally managed to get one when I was 37, I think. So, I was obsessed with Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, and
Oh
he's like
yeah.
rules, boundaries, and limitations for dogs. I was like, we're no different. Kids especially, you put them in a routine when they're babies, they sleep better, they know where they stand, they don't play up quite so much, they don't act out quite as much when they know what's good the consequences might be. My mom always used to say that, do that again and there'll be consequences. And I was like, I don't want to see what those consequences are. I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
because I watched my sister push the boundaries and again, and I watched the consequences for her. I was like, I'm not having any
Mhm.
part of that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's not just for, children. It's not just for animals. It's for us too. And it's so helpful being able to just stop because it's time to stop. And honestly, I think it saved my relationship and so many people's as well, because how many times have you heard, oh, put your phone away, or I don't feel like you're in the room, you
Mm,
know, you're there, but you're not really there, you're not focusing, you're just constantly looking at your phone, you
right,
know. So it's really important that we just, I mean, my phone doesn't make a noise unless somebody's texting me or calling me.
right,
I'll get a notification, but it doesn't make a sound. And
right.
that's the difference, because it used to be ding, 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 ding all the time. It's really
Mhm.
distracting.
It is.
Trying to watch TV and you're thinking, oh, just look at that message because I don't know who that's from. And, but as soon as it stops making a noise, well, I stop looking.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh my goodness. So good, so good. Oh. So, Sarah, let me ask you a question. What is your favorite chapter in Stop Doing It All?
Well, there's quite a few, but I think I really enjoyed writing the chapter about Wreck-It Rose. So, for those who haven't read the book, the angel and the devil that sit on your shoulder? I created two cartoon characters. One is Wreck-It Rose, and the other one is Kick-Ass Katie. And Wreck-It Rose is just determined to destroy everything that you're trying to achieve. She wants you to feel inadequate. She wants you to worry about stuff. She wants you to stop getting things done.
Hmm.
So she uses what I call weapons of mass inaction,
Ooh.
and they are your fears. And I learned this from Jim Edwards. He calls them underlying fear drivers. They're universal underlying fear drivers as human beings that we all have. So we worry
Right.
about losing money, and worry about looking stupid, or, all those things that we worry about. She uses those as ways to make you hesitate and ways to make you doubt yourself. So that whole chapter was like outlining 10 of those fears and explaining how she's using that, what that might look like in your business, and how you can turn that into kick-ass Katie confidence. And just kind of step forwards out of that, so you're not spinning your wheels stuck in that mindset of, oh, I'm not good enough, and who am I to be telling people this, and talking about this subject when other people have been doing this for longer than me, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was
Mm,
fun.
I love it. I love it. I think this is gonna have to be one of my top 5 books for the year. Ha
Oh
ha.
wow, thank you.
Listen, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if you can see it on my screen, but y'all better listen, you all better get your book. Get your book. And that's my
Yeah.
next question. Where can they find your book? I know it's kind of glowing.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Better.
You can get it at stopdoingitallbook.com.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's all one word,
StopDoingItAllBook.com. I'll
stopdoingitallbook.com.
say that again.
Stopdoingitallbook.com.
Love it. Love it. Oh my gosh. Sarah, this is such a great time. Thanks so much for joining us, our audience. So this audience is like, it's where the whole idea is where entrepreneurship and culture meet. And there's such
Cool.
an intersection where a lot of people don't identify. But,
Mhm.
I noticed as an artist, like, wait, there's a huge intersection here from when I was an artist and an entrepreneur. There's so many similarities. So, just even today's conversation about productivity and all the elements you talk about and the elements that you boldly put in your book, which I'm excited about, is
Thank
that's huge. So I think our audience is gonna really benefit for this episode. Really excited. And thank you so much for joining.
well, thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, good, good. I hope to be fun. I love fun.
Yeah, everything should be fun.
That's right. There you have it.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode.
And if you haven't already, please be so kind and give us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And we'll see you soon. Peace.